Hello and welcome to GP3. It's Russia. Kicking off with Q1, just 15 drivers today. So we'll be rushing through like we normally do, but again, it's always a good opportunity to have a bit of run on the track, see what it's doing, acclimatise a little bit, understand the track temperatures and the sort of little niggles, iron them out, get your setup locked in. It's important not to push too hard on your Q1 because mistakes can be made unless you're one that you think might be struggling to get through to Q2. It's not particularly important to push too hard in Q1. Everyone will make it through, so it's just 2 flying laps and into the pits on the tyre. If we have 16 plus drivers, we obviously go through Q1 normally and let it go on, but this time around we'll probably be skipping Q1. Apologies for the noises coming out of my mouth. I'm a little bit ill, so bear with. We've got a pretty busy track at the moment. Most people out, except from Sef Kakashi, classic Mashman. I think he's a new driver. We'll stick on board and have a look at Jugster, the championship leader at the moment. I believe he's possibly on an in-lap, but it looks like he's still pushing. Cardinal. So Jugster in. Cardinal's going for a lap now. See what he can do. Very aggressive with the down changes there. So Cardinal into the pits also. Gumba's looking very aggressive, but Kimi Raikkonen is on a lap, so we'll have a look and see what he's doing. Gumba, I believe he's on a lap as well, but I saw him make a pretty big mistake, so I wouldn't have thought that would be too quick a lap. I'd love to see what Kimi Raikkonen can do, currently on a 1:34.2. He'll be looking to improve. Jugster on pole at the moment with a 1:33 dead almost, as operator OP26 actually puts it in third at the moment with a 33.664, I believe that is. Half a second off the leader. How's Gumba? Comes down that fast straight into the difficult braking for that left-hander, swinging it round into this final sort of tight complex. Left-right, it can be very easy to get the throttle a little bit early now, and exiting the corner you can sometimes brush the wall if you've pushed it too hard, but he seems to get everything down, and that's Gumba into the pits as well. Hard to follow who's out and who's in. Cardinal on 1:33.1, so he's only a 10th off of Jugster. Kimi in. Classic Mashman is now on an out lap, I believe. No, he's not on an out, but he's on a fast lap as well. So we'll have a look at the newbie, see what he can do. Might be able to post some decent lap times there. Druid, of course, on track again. Looking to post a lap time. He's not managed to put one in just yet, but he's going to be looking to put something faster. We know Druid can be a very competitive driver. He's definitely got the speed to be in the top 5. He has struggled sometimes to get the best out of qualify. So VPR Catalunya has left the session there. Jugster's left the session, Neglet's left the session, and Kakashi have left the session. They've not left as in disappeared, they just left the Q1 session, as we like to rush things on if there's not quite enough drivers for Q1. It's going to be interesting to watch the fight between Jugster and Cardinal, as they are really the championship fighters. But Druid's actually beating Jugster to pole at the moment with a 132.9. So not particularly much faster than Jugster, but again, taking him off of pole for the moment. It is just Q1, so I wouldn't take too much from the lap times we're getting given, but it's important to keep an eye on him, see what he does. I think pretty much everyone. So Cleo's outlap, Lonely Plains on the outlap. Some of these drivers shouldn't really be doing lap. I'm not sure if I know there is a rule change coming into play. Whether that's actually been implemented now or for the next season, I'm not sure. But originally it was just 2 flying laps and in and retire for the session. But the amended rules was that you can go and do as much running as you want in Q1. Not sure if it's been implemented yet. It doesn't look like it because most people are pulling out, but it's one to keep your eye on. Seven and a half minutes remaining of the session. Messy 555 looking a little bit messy on that last few corners. Let's see what he can do as looks like he's really starting to push now into the final corner on the throttle. Across the line to put himself with it. It was an invalidated lap time. So that's going to annoy him. He didn't improve at all. Seth is still yet to put a lap time in as well. He doesn't need to, remember, but he's not even on track. Lonely Plains going a little bit wide there. Cleo is on a lap. Coming to this sort of middle sector. Onto the long straight. Opening up the DRS. Trying to get as much as he can out of this straight. You want to make it... It's not quite straight, so you want to make a line as straight as possible as you can into this very difficult braking section. You know, a slight turn in, dip it into the corner. You can cut quite a lot there, so you don't need to be too tentative, but it looks like Cleo just missed his braking a little bit, went a bit deep. We'll turn in and hit the 2 apexes, sweet as a nut there. A little bit off, a little bit wide there for the second approach. Here we come into the penultimate corner on the brakes, touching the apex on the throttle, not using too much curb. It's very easy to get a penalty there, and again here, a little bit tentative, but there he goes. Across the line, does he improve? Doesn't quite improve. Oh, he does improve. Let's put him in 9th. So not much of a move, but definitely an increase of pace there. We're 34.398. Blaze Recoil, another fast driver. When he can put it on pole, or when he can perform in qualifying, he's lost it. Oh dear, that's a wheel gone, and that's the end of the session for Blaze Recoil. He won't take no further. He will not be participating any further in qualifying, no matter what his time was, which would have put him 12th. He will not be going any further, so that is Blaze Recoil out of the session. Seth in the pits, just waiting for him to retire. If you could, Seth, that would be great. And with 5 minutes left of the session, it looks like we'll be skipping through to Q2 fairly early. Druids puts it on pole, followed by Jugster and Cardinal, the usual suspects at the top. But Jugster not quite looking as dominant as he normally is. Seth has retired, and that is the end of Q1. We'll move on to Q2. There you go, Druid with a 132.958, the only of the drivers in Q1 to get into the 132s. We know it's possible, as it's just been done. Jugster with the 133 dead almost, 012. Classic Mashman actually beat Cardinal to 3rd, so that's a 133.117, and Cardinal in 4th, a 133.179. Operator, Gumba, Kimi Raikkonen, Bob the Flop, Cleo, Neglects, Massey 555, Lonely Plains 5, Seth and Kakashi bring up the rest of the grid for the moment. So, Q2, here we go. It'll be interesting to see who wants to go out first, what sort of strategies we're looking at. Usually I try and wait till mid part of the session, get a lap in, and then decide, sort of figure out what the rest of the grid are doing in regards to tyre strategy, and then go out for a final run. It looks to me like Jugster, as usual, the first one out, followed very closely by Seth, I believe that is. Is that Seth? It's not Seth, it's silly Billy. It's... What was Seth? Oh, it must have been Seth. There we go. Cleo out, Seth out, Jugster out, Neglects out, Massey 555 out on track. All looking to get an early lap time in. Obviously the track's going to be a little cooler than it will be towards the end of this session, but it's good to get a banker in, see what you can do on these tyres, and then figure out your strategy for the start of the race after the remaining drivers have posted their lap. Jugster, Cardinal, to really keep an eye out for, but remember Operator was up there, Classic Mashman was up there, so it's definitely going to be interesting qualifying. I'd really like to see Cardinal possibly beat Jugster to the pole, and definitely set ourselves up for a good race there. But we're watching Jugster, he's on his out lap, as is Seth, Neglects, Lonely Plains, Bob the Flop, Kimi Raikkonen, SF1 Gumba is out, and Massey 555 is out as well. Just waiting on Cardinal, who's sitting in the pits for the moment, but we will keep an eye now on the championship leader as he rounds the penultimate corner to come on to start his qualifying lap. Sit on board for one whole lap and see exactly what he's doing. Opens up the DRS down into the first corner. Nice corner this, you can try and carry as much possible speed as you can and roll it into the second corner. Here we go, rolling that speed in. There we go, on the throttle all the way around this long left-hander into another difficult braking. You've got to get the car straight and then onto the brakes. There we go, turning in, carrying that speed in fourth gear on the throttle. Again, another very similar corner coming up. A lot of 90-degree sort of corners here, but this one's very... lost my way there. That last corner was a bit deceiving. You can carry a lot more speed than you think, leading into turn 5, which is not so much. Trying to carry as much speed now as we approach the long straight, which isn't quite straight. So you're wanting to make a straight line through this section with the DRS open as possible into the difficult braking for the right-hander and the final complex. Here we go. He's got the DRS open. Straightening line into the right-hander, cutting the corner nicely on the throttle early and turning in early for that left-hander. Here we go, on the throttle. Watch him as he beautifully kisses the apex of these two corners. A little bit wide actually on that final, the exit of that chicane, into the penultimate corner. Just touches the apex on the throttle nice and early. And the final corner, easy to lock up as he's just shown, and easy to go wide. And he said a 1:32.6 is the base time. Cleo has also followed him through with a 1:33.7, so a little bit of time off, but Jugster sets the base time. Neglects a 1:34.6. Lonely Plains is a fast driver, although he's suffering from a little bit of understeer there by the looks of it. We'll see what he can do as he rounds the second to last corner. Seth's actually put in a 1:34.1 as well. On the throttle, across the line. Invalidated lap time for Lonely Plains. So who else is on track? Operator is on track. He's coming onto the long straight now. Druids also doing the same. Into the heavy braking section, turn 1. Cardinal is on track. The championship contender, second on the ranks at the moment for Cardinal. I believe he is about 30-something. 30 points behind, roughly 30 points behind the championship, I believe. I'll double check that for you guys shortly. But it's really all to play for between Jugster and Cardinal, and if they keep performing sort of the way they have been, one of them misses out, one of them doesn't finish, it could actually bring some more parties in to the final fight. But it is very much Jugster and Cardinal at the moment fighting at the sharp end of the championship as Cardinal comes onto the long straight. Hits that throttle nice and early, opens up the DRS. There's a little bit of traffic down the straight, but it shouldn't bother him too much as he tries to make as perfect a straight line as possible into the right-hander. Braking, cutting the corner nicely. A little bit of understeer there by the looks of it. Struggling to turn in for that left-hander, but he gets the throttle on. Final complex here, a little bit neater than Jugster, although carried a little bit too much speed into that initial left-hander. Penultimate corner now, these two are very important. You've got to get them right, not using too much rumble on the exit. Here we go, on the throttle, across the line. He puts it in second with 132.9, so he's still about 3/10 off. Struggling to find those extra bits of speed. So Jugster from Cardinal, from Clio, who's actually a surprise driver at the top there in the top 3 for the moment. Seth Bob the Flop operator Gumba neglects Messi 555, and Lonely Plains are your top 10 at the moment. Lonely, remember, has not posted a valid lap time as of yet. Cleo and Jugster in the pits at the moment. So Seth into the pits. Bob the Flop still on track. Operator in the pits. Gumba has stopped on track. So what's happened there? The Cardinal goes fastest with a 132.4. That second run was all he needed to find about 4/10 there actually. So quite a good attack there from Cardinal as he puts himself on pole for Q2 at the moment with 7.5 minutes remaining. Gumba going very slowly. I believe he must have run out of fuel. But who's that coming up behind him? He's got to move out the way. Didn't see that wasn't look like a Williams of Kimi Räikkönen, who's yet to post a lap either, so that's very interesting as well. Let's see what he can do. Getting into the final sector. And puts himself in 7th position with a 134.2. Gumba still trying to get round to his pit box. Coming in very, very slowly there, yeah. Cardinal's still on track, actually. I think he might be coming in this time round. Jugster's retired, so he's not going to be putting anything in. He reckons he's safe starting on the ultra softs by the looks of it. Only one driver at the moment on the mediums. Or is that hyper softs? I cannot read properly at all. But yeah, Clio putting the 133 there on the slightly harder tyres by the looks of it. And going again on the softer tyres, so this is almost definitely going to be a improvement, but he's got to find over a second in order to get it there. I just don't think that that's going to be enough. I don't think he's going to be able to find more than a second, but we'll see as he heads into the pit. So he's aborted that lap. Not quite good enough for him. Doesn't want to start on those tyres, maybe. Basket Mashman in the pits. Most people in the pits. Bob is in the pits. Kimi Raikkonen still on track. Let's see what he's doing. Okay, so that is most people in the pits. Massey 555 and Lonely Plains 5 are going for another outlap, so they're trying to improve. Of course, Lonely Plains yet to actually post a valid lap. We'll see where he is. He's not quite as far around as Massey 555, so we'll stick with him for the moment. See what he decides to do. And who was that shot up? I think that was Druid there that shot up to third, putting on a 132.5, so he was sitting at the bottom a little bit. So far we have Cardinal on pole with the 132.431. Jugster, who's retired from the session, with a 132.657. He's happy with what he's done. Druid 132.85 and Classic Mashman 133.2. So just the top three within the 132 lap times at the moment. Cleo is retired with those harder tyres. Seth, Bob the Flop, Kimi Raikkonen, Operator, SF1 Goomba, Neglects, who's retired, Massey 555 and Lonely Plains, the two still on track. They're sitting in 12th and 13th, and Kakashi, of course, who is retired from the session, never seems to qualify, at the back. So we'll be looking at Massey and Lonely Plains for these final 3.5 minutes of the session, and we'll see what they can do. Lonely Plains isn't too far behind him. He doesn't want to get too close though, because obviously that's going to scrap his lap up a little bit. But we'll stick with these two and we'll see what they can do. Druid, by the looks of it, I think has gone out, or is still out, possibly pits now as he's in low ERS. We'll stick back to Massey 555. See what he can do. Classic Mashman's retired, so most people starting to retire now. Massey really looking to improve from that 134.7. He's only got to get about 2/10 on 2/10 off the time he's got at the moment, just to get into that top 10 would be nice. But by the looks of it, he's retired. That is unfortunate. Let's see what Lonely Plains can do. All he has to do is post a lap. Massey unable to do so. So Lonely Plains hits the start straight. A little bit of traffic there for Massey as it looked like he was about to move over, but he didn't, so that was lucky. Sit on board into the first corner. Here we go. Hard on the brakes, turning in, and he's completely missed the first corner. So that, unfortunately, is almost going to be game over. If you can turn everything down, get round for another lap, you might be able to put something in. He's got to turn that ERS all the way down, turn that fuel all the way down, get round, and put in a perfect lap time. He did get a 136.4 that last time round, but if he has the fuel, he still has the opportunity to go around and do another lap time with 1.5 minutes remaining of the session. A little bit scruffy as it is. Yeah, a lot of understeer there. I'm not sure really what's going on. It's unfortunate as neither Massey or Lonely seem to have been able to get within that top 10. Couldn't get through to Q3. A lot of the time there is strategy based around qualifying in 12th, 11th sort of area. You have the free tyre choice, but sometimes it's just not worth it. And by the looks of it, I think Massey and Lonely Plains really did want to get through to that Q3. Again, Lonely still has an opportunity if he can get round and he has the ERS and the fuel to do another lap. He does have to find a lot of time though. A few seconds there actually. He's well off the pace. So everyone retired except Druid, Seth, Operator. Operator's actually back on track looking to improve. Goomba and Lonely Plains. So we'll have a look. See what Operator's doing. He's not on an out lap, so he's actually on a flying lap, so we'll sit with operator and see exactly what he can do as he goes a little bit deep there. Lonely Plains retired from the session, so it's all on operator right now. He doesn't need to improve now as everyone else has retired. Yeah, as he does so into the pits. There we go. Operator in the pits. That is your qualifying 2 situation. Cardinal from Jugster from Druid. Your top 3. Classic Mashman, Cleo, Seth, and Bob the Flop. Kimi Räikkönen on operator OP 26. SF1 Gumba neglects Massey 555. Lonely Plains and Kakashi brings up 14th. That is your Q2. Just waiting now for operator to retire from the session, as he does so right away. So I believe we may be looking at a little bit of rain for the race. If you are racing today and you're watching, let us know what the weather forecast is saying. Give us a little bit of help to cover sort of strategy calls and things like that. But after Q2, it's looking very close at the top 5, really within about half second of each other. It's anyone's call, really. Jugster and Cardinal actually looking to be the slightly stronger drivers. I think the pole's going to be a split between those two, but you cannot count out both Druid, Operator, who else was it that was up there? We had, I think at one point, Classic Mashman was very close to the top as well. So we can't discount any of those drivers. Blaze Recoil is quick. Cleo seems to sometimes have speed. He's starting on the slightly light rain 20 minutes in. Okay, so we've got light rain 20 minutes into the race. For a short amount of time. Whether that's going to call for a change of tyres or if people are going to try and push through that will be good to see. But I don't think it's affected anyone's start strategy or qualifying strategy. Thank you, operator, for letting us know there. If you are watching and you have an idea or a prediction at all that you want to make, you can stick your top 3 for qualifying in the chat. I'll read them out if I can. Again, top 3 for the race as well. Very much welcome to put them in. If you've got any supporting text you want to stick in there, supporting your driver, feel free to do so as well. As we just wait for the session to load in for Q3, it's Jugster and Cardinal very much at the top at the moment. So just waiting for SF1 Cardinal, having a little bit of a struggle getting through to Q3 at the moment. Bear with, sorry about the delay. On my screen, it is just SF1 Cardinal that we're waiting for. To move on to Q3, so Cardinal, if you could click advance, that would be wonderful. Unless we're having a bit of a technical difficulty, which wouldn't be good. If anyone in the lobby can let us know if they're having the same issue, if we're waiting for someone or if there is a lobby issue, that would be great. But hopefully... Yes, SF1 Cardinal. It seems to me like he's not clicked advance, but it shouldn't really hold on that low. I believe there's a countdown for it, so I believe we may be having a bit of a lobby issue. Viper Catalunya has left the session, so it may have been because he had joined halfway through that's caused a little bit of an issue, but still SF1 Cardinal is not loaded through. I believe the lobby has crashed. That's very unfortunate to see. A lobby going down is not particularly good at all. And sorry to the viewers as well. It's not great to be watching something and it just cuts out halfway through. I can assure you, no matter what, we will get the stream, or we'll try our best to get the stream back up and running, get the final qualifying session going, and of course, the race coverage. Ah, there we go. Okay. Wonderful. So Cardinals left the session actually, which has managed to buff us straight through, but that's not going to be great because Cardinals fighting for a top position. Session starting in 13 seconds. We'll have to find out what is going to happen there, if Cardinal can get back into the session or not. Of course, that's going to be devastating for him if he can't, because really, as you can see from qualifying 2 results, fighting for the top there. So we'll find out. I'm sure someone in the chat will be able to let us know exactly what's going on and what's going to happen. As we move on to Q3, Cardinal is there, so if he rejoins, he can make it back into the session. I'm going to quickly send him an invite and try and get Cardinal back in the game. There we go. So I've sent him an invite, and hopefully Cardinal's not in the lobby at all. Hopefully he'll get in, but Seth seems to be the first guy out, followed by Jugster, Operator, and Cleo and Jugster. So they're all on out laps. Everyone else staying in for the moment. I'm sure is probably just to find out exactly what's going on with Cardinal, because it might be that Cardinal doesn't make it back in and can't participate in Q3, which is going to be devastating for him, considering how strong his pace was. Jugster, really the one to watch. He's going to want to try and get into some free space. Seth in front of him is probably holding him up just a little bit. As I say that, Jugster makes his way past, trying to get himself some free space. Jugster now coming into the final couple of corners to start his initial flying lap. The Cardinals still not back in the game. No real report from the Twitch chat. I do welcome you in if you're new and watching. SF1's GP3 series. It's played every Friday night from 8:30 UK time. We do have a range of drivers from British to European to American, Canadian, everyone really. I don't know if we've got any Australian drivers, but we do have a nice bunch worldwide drivers. Good servers and some good close racing. This is GP3, so they're slightly slower the series, but that does not take away anything from the racing itself. 15 drivers this weekend, and it's Jugster and Cardinal fighting for the championship title at the moment, but Cardinal unfortunately has lost connection during qualifying 2, which he actually managed to put on pole. Very, very... Cardinal into the session and on an outlap, so it's brilliant to see him back in. He's going to be relieved by that. So Cardinal and Jugster can have the fight that we desperately want to see this season. And here's Jugster around in the final corner for his first lap, and it's a 1:32.8. Not quite as fast as we've seen. A very fast lap time. Seth comes around the final corner, 1:33.6, almost a second off of Jugster. Who else has come around? Cleo comes around, put it in second with 1:33.54. Who else have we got? Operators all on his way around. Seth with a 1:33.6. Druid puts it on pole with 1:32 dead. A very fast lap time from Druid. Makes us think that maybe Jugster is hiding something there, as we know he's normally ridiculously fast. Operator, Classic, Mashman, Bobby Flop, Goomba and Cardinal yet to put a lap time in, but the force Indias of Goomba and Cardinal very close. Goomba posts a lap of 1:34.8, so he's a little bit off pace as well. Kimi Räikkönen a little bit off pace as well. Operator's put himself in fifth there with 1:33.7. It's a good show from Operator, but the eyes really are on SF1 Cardinal as he starts his flying lap. See if he can do anything to challenge Druid and of course Jugster, his championship rival. Here's Cardinal. Classic and Bob the Flop yet to put a lap time in also. Bob the Flop looks like he's had an invalidated lap time. Here's Cardinal coming in. Midway through the lap now. Cardinal's looking for a 32 dead sort of area. I want to try and get under into the 31s if he can to try and put it on pole as it stands at the moment. Which is a tall order for young Cardinal. Onto the brakes, turning it in for the tricky right-hander and flicking it back for the left-hander. Very easy to get understeer, which actually prevents you from kicking into that left-hander. Very smooth on the steering there as he runs the rumbles quite nicely on the exit there. Dipping it in for the penultimate corner and on into the last corner. Very easy to run wide and bring yourself an invalidated lap. And across the line, it's only good enough for second position at the moment with a 1:32.1. He is a whole tenth off of the pole position at the moment. So very good show from Cardinal, but not quite enough to beat Druid across the line. Most drivers in the pits at the moment now, then, except for Bob the Flop and Classic Mashman. We're interested to see what they can do as Mashman coming into the final corners now. Last corner on the throttle as early as he possibly can across the line, and he puts in third. A very good show again, just another tenth off of Cardinal. So maybe he can go quicker as he opens the DRS down the straight. He's still in high ERS, so he's turned it down to low, no ERS, so he's not going for another lap time. Cardinal, however, does look like he's going for another lap time on those super quick tyres. He's only got to find a 10th, so if he can find the 10th, he's going to put himself on pole position with 4.5 minutes left. It might not be the ideal time to actually post the lap time. He might be better off aborting, coming in and pushing for that final few minutes of the session. Coming into the penultimate corners now, what can Cardinal do? He's definitely keeping his foot in it, so he must be up by some margin. Here we go, across the line, he puts on pole with a 1:32. So close, just 900ths away from Druid, less than 8.5 hundredths away from Druid. So Druid is going to be looking to try and get a slightly faster lap time in as well. He's not even going to make a 10th. Classic Mashman's very close as well. He's only got to find a couple tenths. So Cardinal with a brilliant lap time in there. Only just pipping Druid across the line though. Mashman into the pits. He's not going to try and go any faster just yet. looking to swap the tyres. Jugster is on track. He's sitting in 4th at the moment with the 132.8. A little way off, but we know he has a lot of speed hidden under his collar. As he runs down into the first corner. So most people out on track except from Classic Mashman, who looks like he's popped in to try and put some slightly better tyres on. On board with Jugster now then. Again, if you have any predictions, feel free to stick them in the chat. Let us know what you think. Who you want to be on pole. Following Jugster now. Hard-braking, just a tiny bit of a lock-up there as he turns in right-hander to the final complex now. Running those curbs really nicely on the power very early. Into the final section now. His time is looking very, very good as he runs the final corner. 31, 32. It's a 31.5. Puts it on pole, almost 5/10 faster than Cardinal. That's a very, very fast lap time from the championship leader of Jugster. However, it's going to be very difficult for Jugster to get round, back in and out again for another lap. I think actually it's going to be near on impossible for him to do so. He's either got to go for this final lap and improve to defend Cardinal, or putting in that final fast lap. And Cardinal really has to get out of the pits now to put a lap time in, but it doesn't look like he is. He run out of tyres. Cardinal really has to press the button now. But I don't think he is. Don't think Cardinal is leaving the pits. With just 1 minute and 33 remaining, he is not going to make it unless he leaves now. So then looks like Cardinal is not leaving the pits for a last or a final run. Druid to attack now. Find half a second, which actually is not a lot of time, especially when you're really pushing on the limit. This is a lap time. So we'll sit on board with Druid and see what he can do. that I have not been on mute the whole start of that race. But I've unmuted myself now, so that's wonderful. Druid from Jogster, from Cardinal, from Bob, Operator, Seth, Cleo, Kakashi, Gumba and Neglector, your top 10. Druid actually making a brilliant start down the inside of Jugster on the first lap. Managed to, by the looks of it, pull away at the moment. He's brought that gap up from about half a second to 9/10 of a second, so nearly over a second. He's only got one more lap really to try and keep that out, keep Jugster out of the 1 second mark. Otherwise he's going to be engaging his DRS on the next lap and eating up the space between Druid and Jugster. Cardinal is staying there. In fact, he's closing the gap a little bit to Jugster, and the rain really starting to fall down now. So who's going to be the first to pit and who's going to make the right decision tyre wise? It's going to be intermediates for a short while, I believe, as the rain really starting to come down. It's starting the formation lap, but it's really starting to come down now. Cardinals keeping Jugster very true. Jugster actually trailing off a little bit from Druid, who seems to have the upper hand under the slightly damp conditions on the slick tyres. Bob the Flop in 4th position, actually losing a tremendous amount of time now from Cardinal, but he still has Operator, Seth, Cleo and Kakashi to keep him company, not too far away behind him. So any mistake from Bob the Flop could cause a 2 or 3 places drop down the grid. Cardinal has just made a mistake there as he's brought his gap down to about 1.3 seconds. It possibly could have been Jugster with the DRS down the back straight, closing that gap up from about a second to about half a second now. So really close, and if he's got DRS he's going to be in a phenomenal position to pass Druid and possibly one of the last laps at the moment to be able to open the DRS. It is open even with the rain. Druid has got to go very defensive now, I'd say, into turn 1. Actually not having to go on too much at all. As Cardinal watches the fight ahead, being very tentative in these conditions. Jugster is going to want to get past as soon as possible. Here we go, Jugster on Druid is looking very close now. Just wants to get himself into a position where he can make an easy move, especially with this rain coming down. You do not want to be making brave dives or anything silly like that. As he opens the DRS on the back straight, let's sit on board with Jugster as he makes the move. Druid trying to cover it off, Jugster having to sneak down the inside, but Druid on the brakes a little later. And actually managed to get the corner ahead of Jugster, who's trying to sneak down the inside of Druid. But not much amiss there. Is he going to dive? No need for the dive there, but Druid giving him plenty of space, knowing that any mistake could cause a DNF for both of them. So Jugster and Druid have to be very careful now. I think Druid's being the more careful of the two. They enter the start straight again. Druid gets a slightly better drive out the corner. I couldn't imagine that DRS is still going to be open, but if it is, I feel that Jugster may possibly, yep, he opens the DRS. Got to crawl on. Is he going to make it down into the braking zone before they have to hit the brakes? He doesn't quite get there, but he's holding on. Druid defending very nicely there from Jugster. Cardinal watching all of this from a fair distance, but still keeping. Oh! Cardinal spins it and loses the front wing just as I moved him. Just cursed him there. Commentator's curse. He really has to. He's really lost a lot of time there. He can't just reverse straight onto track. You can move now, Cardinal. You can move now. Just go for it. You're ghosted. That's very unfortunate to see from Cardinal, but let's rejoin the fight between Druid and Jugster. Bob the Flop promoted into 3rd position then, so that's going to be a very nice finish for him if he can keep that under his belt. Lap 5 now of 27. receiving stop-go penalties. The rain really coming down now. Is it going to be a decision to stay on the slick tyres for the duration of the rain? As I've been told, it's a fairly short stint of rain. So is it going to be bold to try and just stay out on no? Just as I say that, both leaders head into the pits, not wanting to lose any time at all. So who's going to be the faster on the inters, and who's moved to inters first? So Cleo actually moved to the inters first. Neglects and Kimmy have followed suit. But Cleo goes, oh, a stop go for Druid, and is it a stop go for Jugster as well? There's no stop go for Jugster, and he comes out in front of Druid. DRS disabled. Jugster gets ahead of Druid from the stop-go penalty that Druid actually received, which is going to be so disappointing for Druid, as he fought so well, managed to get a really decent gap to Jugster, which has been taken away from him there by the stop-go penalty. Bob the Flop following suit on the intermediate tyres. So basically everyone is actually chosen to move on to the intermediates, and Cashew Cardinal operator head into pits also to change onto the intermediate tyres. It will be very important that this rain doesn't go away too quickly, because there's going to be some people actually Massey 555 staying out on the Hypersus by the look of it, as he's just hit the pits. As I say that, every time I mention someone, something goes wrong with him, but Druid already seems to have lost sight of Jugster, which is really unfortunate. He could have had a very strong fight at the front there. Bob the Flop in third, getting a lot of pressure from Seth as he hit the longs. No, it's not long straight. Oh, a lot of gains there. So Seth really looking to get past Bob the Flop, and he manages to do so. Just pressuring Bob the Flop a little bit too much. He made that mistake, went wide, and Seth manages to sleep through and steal third position. Onwards and upwards to Druid and Jugster by the looks of it. He's 15 seconds behind, but with that sort of driving, he might be able to be consistent enough and fast enough to maybe close the gap up just a little bit. We haven't been able to see too much from Seth over the past half of the season, but maybe this is going to be one for him to remember as he's up into third position. Bob the Flop coming back on the cut though, and goes really deep. Seth just says thank you very much, I'll take that right back. Bob the Flop overthinking just a little bit the looks of it, and he's got SF1 Goomba right behind him as well, so if he's not careful he's going to have to defend very strongly for that fourth position that he's just been given, or he's just had third taken away from. Bob the Flop moves down into fourth, Seth up into third, and he's going to be looking to pull away from Bob and Goomba. So third to fifth, the closest three cars at the moment. The gap from Jugster to Druid at 3.1 seconds. We'll keep an eye on that and see if it gets a little bit lower. Hopefully there'll be a fight towards the end of the race, but by the looks of it, that rain maybe disappearing already? No, I can still see a few grains coming down. So Seth actually already pulling that gap massively. Druid has closed that gap as well. It was sitting at 3.1, it's now 2.5, 2.6 seconds. I don't know how Seth is running in third and still commenting on the chat box, but well done, Seth. Seth himself has just said go Seth, so I'm assuming it's not Seth. It's probably his race engineer or something he normally has. But hello to race engineer and hello to Seth. Well done, you're doing a fantastic job. Let's keep it going, shall we? 2.9 seconds is the gap from Bob to Flop to Seth. Goomba is still on the back of Bob. Not actually managed to get past as Cleo nearly loses the back end of his car there. Cardinal doing very similar, and I've been told he He hit the wall quite recently, so that may have hindered him even more so than his first original spin into the wall, losing him a front wing. Druid has brought that gap down from 3.1 seconds all the way down to 1.2 and is getting ready to make a move on Jugster. Jugster, of course, the championship leader at the moment. Druid's looking to try and upset. Okay, Seth is the daddy of whoever is commenting, so your dad's doing a fantastic job. Hopefully he can bring back third place. Pulling away from Bob the Flop with a 1.3 second gap, but as I'm saying, Druid is really closing up on Jugster now. 1.3 seconds to the leader and championship leader of Jugster. Lap 8 now of 27. So 30% of the race. So I believe Cardinal now actually catching the back of Cleopatra. Cleo. He's going to be looking to make a move very soon as well. Gumba getting very close to the back of Bob the Flop as well, as Cardinal is unable to make it past Cleo. Some great defending from Cleo there in the Red Bull against the Force India. Gumba just half a second away from Bob the Flop. He's really going to be trying to make a move, but Bob's a little bit too far ahead. Druid still behind Jugster, 1.1 seconds behind. He's trying to close that gap down as well. But obviously with the intermediate tyres fitted, there is no DRS available. So without DRS, it's going to be very difficult for some people to make the pass, unless they have an extremely good run out of the corner. And that's Cleo back past Cardinal. So we actually missed Cardinal past him in the first place. It was so short-lived that Cleo made it straight back past the next corner. So Cardinal's really getting held up by the Red Bull driver of Cleo, who's doing a fantastic job of making that car as wide as possible. Kakashi has just DNF'd from the race. Cardinal is really pushing to try and get past Cleo, and as soon as he gets past, he can sort of relax. Oh, brilliant run on Cleo as he... Oh, doesn't quite have enough momentum to stick it down the inside there, but that was almost a brilliant run from Cardinal on Cleo. Gumba's getting ever so close as well. Oh, as the two of them almost touch. This is going to be a frustrating race for both Gumba and Cardinal. Both Force India drivers stuck behind slower cars and aren't able to make the most of their race at the moment. Gumba's looking for the dive down the inside of the penultimate corner, but not the best place to make the move, so he holds on round the final corner now. On the throttle as early as possible. He's going to try and get a run down into the first corner. He looks like he's close enough. Bob the Flop weaving just a little bit. The more these two fight, the further away Seth is going to get, and that is exactly what he wants. That gap now to 6.5 seconds for Seth in third position. Gumba can't make anything happen there as we watch Cardinal come around the final corner. He's very close to the back of Cleo now. Is this going to be the move for second position? He's already side by side and we've not even made it around the first corner. Still pretty much a straight line now as Cardinal tucks in. Cleo running down the inside. Is he going to go a little bit too deep? Cardinal holds on and he's saying, nope, you're not getting past me this time. I'm going to throw this around the outside. And Cardinal comes on top now. Gumba is his next target. If you can keep Cleo behind him, he's got to try and pull away as quickly as possible. And it looks to me like that's what he's doing, as Cleo nearly loses the back end there, having to shoot across to the inside of the exit of that corner. But he's holding on. We'll see what Cleo can do. If he can hold on to the back of Cardinal, that'll be very interesting. Now Gumba Half a second still separates Gumba and Bob the Flop. That's a fight for 4th position. Bob the Flop losing out to third position from Seth, who has actually done a fantastic job. Just 3 laps ago, I believe he passed, and he's now 7 seconds down the road from Bob the Flop, who is defending drastically from Gumba, the Force India driver, who now has his teammate right behind him, itching to catch and get past. Druid still a second behind Jugster, not managing to make it past just yet. Oh, Gumba is all over the place. He's going to want to try and tuck into that slipstream. Make it down into the first corner, but it just looks like the gap is slightly too much and he's not going to quite make it. Not this time round, as he gets ever closer and closer, lap by lap. SF1 Cardinal is 19 seconds behind Gumba and Bob the Flop, but if they keep fighting how they are, there's going to be a big fight. Druid has just sliced that gap down to half a second. There's action everywhere. Classic Mashman also just 4/10 behind Cleo. We'll get to him if we can, but right now it's Druid versus Jugster for the lead of the Russian Grand Prix GP3. Some great fights going on here. It's Gumba as well as 3/10 behind Bob the Flop as well. Is he going to be able to make a move? They're coming to this fast left-hander. You can carry a lot more speed than you think as the exit opens up. And of course, the next corner is the right-hander onto the not-so-straight. Open up that throttle. Try and tuck into the slipstream. Make it as straight as possible. But I don't think this time he's going to have much to do. Druid, look how close he is to the back of Jugster. If he can get a good exit, he's going to be right on the back. Going to be able to tuck in really nicely to the back of Jugster, but I think he's a little bit too far away. Jugster got a very good drive out of the final corner there, and has probably turned his everything up yet, so that's overtake. Everything engaged really. Druid only using hot lap down the straights, which you know is slightly slower than the overtake. After about 6th or 7th gear, you want to be using overtake. Gives you that slight better top end. Jugster staying ahead there. Oh, as Druid flies down the inside of Jugster for turn 3. Beautifully done. Is Jugster going to come back with an attack? Druid defends. Jugster has a look, but it's not quite happening this time. So Druid takes the lead of the Russian Grand Prix on lap 12 from Jugster, the championship leader. Will stay with these two as they fight it out. Can Jugster do anything to return that place? Push Druid back down the pack. It doesn't look like he's got much to answer for. Gumba's still stuck about 9/10 behind Bob the Flop. Cardinals rapidly joining them now at just 18 seconds. 2 seconds made in the past 2 laps. And Operator and Classic Mashman are having a great little fight as well. Kimi Raikkonen's there, still on track. He's a little bit far behind, and Massey 555 is already almost a lap down. But Classic Mashman actually has put on the wet tyres, which is definitely not the right call. I'd definitely say that the wet tyres is far too coarse for this sort of rain. I would have stuck with the intermediates if I was him. Maybe slightly better. We'll stick on ball and see what's happening there. There's definitely not enough rain on the track really for those wet tyres. I'd like to be proven wrong, but I just can't see them bringing him any faster lap times, especially when he's in a good position to take 7th position from Operator. Gumba now actually dropped back drastically from Bob the Flop, maybe not being able to run as higher engine mode as he was previously. Jugster just had no answer for Druid this time round, so he's actually fallen back to just over a second behind Druid now. So even if the rain stops and the slip tyres are stuck on, he's going to be out of DRS, and it's going to be very hard for him to make up the points. Oh, Jugster losing the back end, almost writing off the car. Very good save from Jugster as he almost lost the front end there, throwing the car into the barrier there just off of turn 7, I believe that was. Keeping his cool though, he's got to try and focus on the race ahead, but that little incident there from Jugster has put himself 2.3 seconds behind the leader of Druid after that fantastic battle between the two of them. Seth doing an amazing job, still in third position and 8.5 seconds down the road from Bob the Flop, who's defending fourth like a madman. Gumba's giving him a little bit of space to breathe so far, but that gap keeps undulating really between 0.2 and 2 seconds, so it'll be very hard to figure out what's happening between the two of these, as Gumba seems to be getting ever closer and closer to Bob the Flop as we speak, getting very close. It gets a good drive out of that corner. Bob the Flop a little bit ahead, a little bit ahead. So Gumba's probably not going to be able to challenge this time round. Cardinals brought that gap from 20 seconds down to just 15.3 seconds now. A very good drive from Cardinal. And Gumba still looking to try and get past Bob the Flop, who's driving the widest Renault F1 car I've ever seen in my life. No one seems to be able to get past. Now we'll watch, can Gumba get as close as possible on the exit of the final corner. He doesn't get the drive out of the corner, and Bob the Flop just pulls away on the initial stage of that start straight finish, and it's not going to be enough from Gumba to make the move this time round. Got to be a lot closer with natural, I call it natural DRS, it's just a slipstream, the good old school way of passing another driver. Got to be a lot closer than you think in the wet to actually make that happen. And Gumba backing off the back of Bob the Flop there. Jugster 2.9 seconds now is the gap to Druid, so he's really not as happy as he would be in the dry as he is now in the wet. So Jugster's looking to try and close that gap down to Druid. Gumba looking everywhere ready to try and get past Bob the Flop, but the more he sort of overthinks this, the further he's going to drop back. And remember, he's got Cardinal to worry about in 4 or 5 laps. If there's no pits, Cardinal is going to be right on the back of Gumba, because he's brought that gap down from 20 seconds to just 12.5 seconds now over the course of about 3 or 4 laps. So that's an incredible gain. And here comes Gumba. Now he's backing off again, backing off loads there. I don't know what Gumba's really, I don't know what he's got planned, but he seems to be backing off far too much, and is actually getting rid of the opportunity to pass Bob the Flop, because Bob the Flop is holding up Gumba something chronic right now. And instead of taking those opportunities to pass Bob the Flop, he's backing off massively. There's a virtual safety car now, but I've seen it quite a few times where Gumba's just backed straight off the back. Maybe he doesn't want to make the move down the inside, or doesn't want to get too close. But now's the opportunity to get the throttle on as hard as possible on the back of Bob the Flop. But still, he's not quite close enough, because he's being too complacent for that virtual safety car. And again, pulling out the slipstream a little bit too early as well, and braking in the wrong part of the track, which is really going to hamper his braking performance. Not only are you going to be offline for your turning, you're also going to have a lot less braking ability, as you're not on the gripped up part of the track. Bob goes very deep. Gumba really has to get his foot down and start taking advantage of Bob the Flop's mistakes here, because Bob is making mistake after mistake after mistake, and Gumba is just going, I don't want to risk that, I don't want to risk that. He just needs to be a little bit more aggressive. Trying to see if he can pass Bob, get the throttle on right now, down the inside if you can, but he's just a little bit too tentative, a little bit too far away. Himself offline for leading to corners, which is another reason why he's not actually managing to get the drive that Bob the Flop is getting out the corners, and not staying in the slipstream, which is going to hurt him massively. If he'd been in the slipstream there, he'd already been ahead of Bob the Flop, and he's just not managing to do it. A great racing between the two of them here, but he's just not managing to get the confidence to sit in that slipstream, get as close as possible, pull out and throw it down the inside, which is really what you want to do. He's got the run now on Bob the Flop, but again, moving around too much on the braking, because now that he's done that, he's lost his drive out the final corner and he's not going to be able to attack Bob the Flop down into turn 1. So he's got to stop pulling out of that slipstream. I know it's for visibility, but the more he does that, the more he's going to put himself offline and the less likely he is going to get past Bob the Flop. And of course with Cardinal now just under 10 seconds behind Gumba, starting to put himself in a very vulnerable position for the end of this race. Classic Mashman getting in the way there, a little bit of Bob the Flop. It's an incredible 9 drivers already DNF. Really, so tentative that you would have thought Gumba would be passed by now, but he's just not able to make the move stick with a sector 2 yellow flag. Who's that for? That's for Massey, who's stuck it in the wall. And classic Mashman there is doing something also very confused as to what was going on there, but Massey puts it in the wall, unfortunately. Gumba is now looking to attack on Bob the Flop. Now he really has to get past. 5 tenths. Bob the Flop hitting the pits. So Gumba going for another lap, which I think is the wise decision. Gumba now has to really put his foot down and get going for this lap. He's got to put his foot down and do a flyer in order to get ahead of Bob the Flop, who I think we will watch him, but I think he's going to be coming in for the slick tyres. Yep. So Seth has stuck the slick tyres on as well. Is that a little bit of an early move? I believe that's a bit of an early move. That's going to hamper Seth massively. With only 7 seconds to hand, he's going to have to really get those tyres up to temperature and fly on the track, but I think it's too early for the slick tyres. I genuinely think it's too early for the slick tyres, and we'll see. Bob the Flop leaving. This is going to be the jump that Gumba needed. Cardinal staying out as well, so he might also get by, and that's right. Bob the Flop, as you can see, already hitting the walls, just leaving the pits. So that's promoted Gumba up into 4th and possibly even 3rd, because Seth doing the same thing, going onto those slick tyres. And I genuinely think it is just a little bit too early, and I think although it is 7 seconds, Seth may well lose out to 3rd position there from Gumba, who is still able to go as fast as he was last lap, whereas Seth is going to have to be very tentative on those slick tyres. Although looking like he's handling them quite well. This is going to be very interesting to see what Gumba does. Is he going to come in this lap, or is he going to stay out another lap? It is really a very hard decision sometimes to make the call to go onto the slick tyres or to move off the slick tyres onto the inters. But Gumba going very deep there. It's going to hamper him, and is he coming into the pits? Yes. So Gumba heading into the pits. Druid and Jugster carried on for another lap. Gumba in the pits now. The guy to watch is Bob the Flop and Seth. Seth coming into the final sector now. He really wants to put his foot down. Too aggressive though, as Gumba has released from his pit box, and Seth is just too far away. Gumba is about to hit the pit exit as Seth comes round the final corner on the throttle. He's going to have slightly warmer tyres now, but Gumba released from the pit exit now as he hits the track. So Seth is just too far away. He lost a whopping 8 seconds or more from that ill-timed pit stop. It did seem to be just a little bit too early, I'm afraid. And Gumba has taken massive advantage from that stop. Drugster and Druid still yet to stop and going... Oh, looks it for another lap. Druid's going for another lap. Jugster's going for another lap. So they're still staying on inters. It does still look a little bit wet. So possibly not the worst decision in the world. But Gumba after changing onto the slightly softer tyres there for the final 10 laps, is the one that's come on top, moving from 5th position to 3rd position just under the pit stops. And Seth still can't even see, but there he is. Seth can see Gumba, but Gumba's quite far away. Seth really didn't want that. Was on for his best finish of the season. His first podium would have been brilliant to see, but now it looks like Gumba is going to be taking control of the 3rd position as Seth almost loses his rear end. Really struggling on these slick tyres. I knew it was too early. Again, but it doesn't seem like anyone's gone off. Druid in control of this race now, 3.5 seconds down the road from the championship leader of Jugster. Cardinal down the inside of Bob the Flop now. That moves him up into 5th position. Seth seems to be gaining a little bit on Gumba, but it's not enough. Devastating turn of events for Seth, who was on for his first podium. Such is life. And look at that, Gumba, 1 minute 16 seconds down the road from Jugster and Druid, the top 2. Jugster seems to be putting his finger out a little bit as he's closed that gap by over half a second apart over the last lap. The track really doesn't seem to be drying up too quickly. I think the win is going to go to the second at the last to stop, really. Whoever calls the stop best is going to come out on top, because I think 4 seconds, as we've seen, Seth was 8 seconds down and still managed to lose that whole 8 seconds to Gumba, just under the nil-time pit stop. Seth is gaining on Gumba now, but quite drastically, but of course catching and getting past are a completely separate objective, as Druid, Gumba showed when trying to get past Bob the Flop, who was slowing up tremendously, but just couldn't get past Bob. Gumba just couldn't get past Bob, so catching and getting past, completely different things. Jugster's made him another mistake there as he's dropped a second and a bit in the past couple of corners. The action really is between Seth and Gumba. If Seth can close that gap, try and regain the 3rd position that he's unfortunately lost due to a ill-timed pit stop. Every lap Gumba's car gets slightly closer and slightly closer. Not much time remaining, just 6.5 laps remaining of the race for Seth to get back his 3rd position. We're going to take a break to have a look at the race director and see who's on what. So stop go for Druid and a 3 second for Druid. So Druid's served that stop go and still in the lead. Jugster, no warnings, no penalty. Gumba has a 3 second penalty. Seth has a 3 second penalty as well. Cardinal has quite a few penalties, so Seth really has to make the pass on track, and it's looking very good for him, because he's now up in 7 tenths behind Gumba. As soon as the DRS opens, he's going to be in a very healthy position. Cardinal, who was fighting for the lead of the races, or fighting in the lead of the races, has made that mistake in 3rd position and then dropped after losing his front wing. He's made a good drive to get it back up to 5th position. Granted, only 7 drivers remaining in the race, but Cardinal's done very, very well to regain that time and get back up into 5th. And here comes Seth, who's getting very, very close to the back of Gumba now. Don't make a mistake, Seth. Just bring it home. Very, very close. Is he going to be close enough to make a move under braking? Possibly not. But next time round looks like it may well be a possibility for a pass. So this fight between Gumba and Seth, or the fighting between Gumba and other drivers and Seth and other drivers, has been brilliant. Seth getting past Bob the Flop, Gumba fighting to get past Bob the Flop, but just couldn't get it done. And now Seth and Gumba fighting, and Seth makes the move down the inside. Beautifully done, but he's got a 3-second time penalty for that move. So he's really going to have to try and extend this gap and hope to goodness that Gumba either gets another penalty or he can get 3 seconds ahead of Gumba, because they are equal on penalties at the moment as it stands. So Seth has really got to put his foot down and really got to get going now. With just 5 and a bit laps remaining of the race, Seth takes 3rd position provisionally. Gumba is fighting and fighting and fighting to stay on the back of Seth there, and he's still very close. Does he get the run? No, loses a bit of time there trying to get a better run, and actually taps the back of Seth there, which is the best thing to do in the world. And Classic Mashman's left the session, so we're down to 7 drivers. Seth staying ahead now, but it's the final turn, and we're coming down into the straight. I don't know if DRS has been enabled or not, but it's going to be very difficult to defend if it has. Seth has just got to get his head down and really, really go for it now. No DRS. On the brakes. He's got another lap to break that 1 second gap, but I'm pretty sure next lap we're going to be on to dry tyres. Second jumps to have pit now. Not Seth and Jugster, Druid and Jugster have pit now. Seth looking to pull the gap on Gumba. Cannot separate myself from this fight. On board with Gumba as he's just dropped back the tiniest bit there. And that is Gumba out of the 1 second mark. So even if the DRS is enabled now, Gumba is going to really struggle to get past, as he's actually out of the DRS detection area now. It's 1.1 seconds is the gap. So provided that Gumba can actually hold oh dear. Provided that Seth can actually hold on to that 3rd position, pull away by, he needs another 1.5 seconds now to pull away to safely keep that 3rd position. It would be the first podium position for Seth and a phenomenal drive as well for Seth. Not taking anything away from Gumba, because it stands at the moment Seth driving brilliantly. Jugster's just made it past Druid, and what has happened there? Did Druid spin it? That's the question. I completely missed that, but Druid has just lost 1st position to Jugster and is already a 2nd and a bit down. So was that a spin? Was that a mistake? What happened there is the question, and Druid going very, very, very slowly now. Has he lost connection? I believe Druid has lost connection. Oh dear. What a turn of events, as the leader of the race, of such a well fought race as well, has actually lost connection and is no longer actually with us on track, as we've seen the car Bob the Flop drive straight through the middle. And that is so unfortunate. But Druid out of the race. Now with just four laps remaining, or 3.5 laps remaining, Druid is going to be beside himself there. Absolutely beside himself. Steph still got half a second to make on Goomba before he can count himself safe. So just 7 drivers remaining in the session. By the looks of it, Druid is back in the race as he's actually gaining again on Jugster, but 8.5 seconds is going to be a massively tall order for 3 laps worth of driving. And unless Jugster makes a massive mistake of some sort or disconnects himself, it is going to be very, very difficult for Druid to make up that time. Jugster, the championship leader, and is not the championship leader for being just a fast driver. He's been consistent, he's been fast, his racecraft has been beautiful at times, and yeah, he's really shown that he deserves to have the championship lead at the moment. And although Cardinal, who's very close still, has tried everything he can, he's just not been there, he's just not been consistent enough to get the points that he needs in order to make the move on the championship lead. So Jugster, very deserved of the lead at the moment, and again a deserved win from him, as it looks like Druid's disconnected again as he's lost a further 2 seconds. So definitely connection problems from Druid there. And Seth really nearing that 3-second mark now. He's not got long now to do it, he can't make a mistake, but that gap now at 2.7 seconds. He has not got much to make on Goomba now in order to secure that 3rd position, which is going to be amazing for Seth. Do excuse me, I'm very ill. And there you go, the gap above 3 seconds now, 3.5 seconds, as Goomba's made a slight mistake there. Coming to turn 5. Lap 26 of 27, just 1.5 laps remaining. Jugster, the lead of the race, and looks like he's going to take another win for his championship booty. Druid not quite with enough pace. Well, he had the pace to win, but not quite enough internet to last the race, I'm afraid. Druid is going to be absolutely beside himself. We will have them on for podium questions, so we'll find out exactly what went wrong there. But again, Druid is going to be absolutely distraught by that incident. We've got a sector 2 yellow flag who's gone off. Oh, Bob the Flop spun it in the second to last lap. That's going to give Massey an opportunity to he's 30 seconds behind. Oh no, and Seth's just got another 3-second penalty, so that is likely going to push Seth down into 4th position. All that work that he's made to try and get up into 3rd position. Yep, Goomba's not got any more penalties, and Seth, yep, Seth has far too much now, so possibly not going to make it onto the podium, but we will see. We'll keep our fingers for Seth and crossed for Seth in 3rd position, as Jugster and Druid have entered their final lap now of the Russian Grand Prix. Lap 27 is Been a great fight between the two. Druid initially actually leading and seeming a lot stronger of the two drivers, but unfortunately Druid losing connection and losing a vast amount of time. Gumba now actually catching Seth massively. So that gap's actually dropped down from 3 and a bit seconds to 2 point something seconds, which is very strange to see. Hopefully everything is alright on Seth's car and he's just made a mistake. But this is the fight for third position, and I'm pretty sure Gumba is going to come on top after penalties. Cardinal, fastest lap of the race with a 1:36.6 in the Force India. See that he's still got the spirit to try and push. He's only 11 or so seconds behind Gumba. Gumba keeping under that 3 seconds. I believe he only needs to keep it under 6 or 9 seconds now, because Seth has given himself a whole lot of penalties in the final 3 or 4 laps. Druid puts in the fastest lap of 1:36.5, so about a tenth faster than Cardinal. He's not going to like that at all, and he only has one more lap's attempt. But that is Jugster and Druid across the line for the win. Jugster takes the win of the Russian GP3 for GP3 Grand Prix. Druid taking second in the GP3. Seth waiting to come across the line. By the looks of it, unfortunately, is not going to make third position quite sit for him. I believe Gumba will be promoted to the third position. Cardinal gets 3-second time penalty. Seth approaches the final corner, so on the road it's third place for Seth. But I believe on timing it is going to be Gumba. Yep, Gumba slides into third position. Cardinal follows suit, and that is your Russian GP3 Jugster from Druid from Gumba. Let's invite the drivers in for the podium questions. There they are on the podium after a brilliant fight from Jugster. I'm not sure what happened with Druid there, but we'll find out in the podium questions. A great race to watch, and brilliant from Gumba there, just to pip Seth, who was on for his first ever podium finish, I believe, across the line there after the penalties. So we'll just wait for all the drivers to pop in to the party, as it's just me and your winner at the moment. So we'll just wait for the second and third place drivers to come into the party. There's Gumba, your third place driver. Just wait for Druid now, if he has a mic, I'm not sure. I shall re-invite him. There we go. So, by the looks of it, Druid's actually gone offline. I'll give him a further minute, and if he doesn't pop in, we'll just carry on without him. So if you guys could just make sure that your party chat is included, that'll be great. And we'll give Druid another 30 seconds, but I believe he's gone offline. No, he's still there. Nope, I don't think he's popping in. So we'll crack on with the podium question.
Is that now?
Just as I say that. You almost missed out there, Druid. Firstly, I'd just like to say congratulations to all three of you. Brilliant race. It's great to watch the top two fighting as well. But we'll start off with Gumber, of course. Great little fight that you had with Seth towards the end of the race. I was obviously keeping track of the penalties and bits, and it was really quite nail-grabbing. I think Seth got two 3-second penalties in the final 5 laps there, which actually aided to you getting the third position there. But again, a brilliant fight. How did it go from your side?
Oh, it was all right. The rain took me by surprise because I was looking at the forecast and it said like midway through it should start raining, but it was raining throughout the start, like throughout the whole of almost the whole of the race.
Yeah, I think it started raining quite lightly even on the formation lap, which was pretty
Mm.
surprising as well, because I was told, yeah, about 20 minutes into the race that it would start. But you seem to handle things pretty well. A couple of people actually pitting quite early, Seth being one of them, who actually lost out massively on a slightly ill-timed pit, which you
Mm.
gained from, and possibly without that you may not have been able to sort of catch him. But how did you feel pit stop wise? Do you think you got it at exactly the right time, or maybe a bit premature?
Well, I sort of rely on Bob trying to help me. Jeff, not Bob. I don't know why I had that in my mind. Jeff, I sort of rely on Jeff with the tyres because I know he can do the tyres quite well.
Right.
But
Okay.
he just
He's
wouldn't
so you just
he
rely.
just wasn't talking to me throughout that race.
Oh dear. See, it doesn't be quiet when you don't want him there, and then when you need him, he's never there. But
Mm.
congratulations, mate! Brilliant drive, and you actually managed to take Seth's would have been Seth's first ever podium, I believe, right away from him. So congratulations on that, mate, and well done for the third position. It was a great race from you.
Thank you.
No problem, mate. Druid, absolutely brilliant drive from you. You seemed pretty much dominant throughout. Was that a disconnect? What happened?
Yeah, um, just after I got on the lead back from Jugster, like 2 laps later or whatever it was, my screen just goes black and I'm like, oh no. And it just said, you need to, it just a disconnection. But then I couldn't get back into the game for ages. So the time I did get back in, AI slow as fuck.
Yeah, I'm.
Sorry.
Yeah, I noticed because you're about full. You managed to pull the gap to about I think it was 3.5, 4 seconds as you passed Jugster,
As I
and then I was sort
disconnected,
of
I think it
focusing
was
on
16.
Goomba and
I
was
think it had gone up.
16.
I don't know. I remember seeing there was a gap of 16 seconds just
If I'm
before I
honest, just as
disconnected.
that happened, I was focusing on Goomba and Seth because they were having a fairly good sort of battle, getting quite close to each other.
I'd
So
noticed
I did
on the
just
mini map,
about
yeah.
miss it, but I saw someone drive straight through the middle of you, and unfortunately you lost. I think by the time you managed to get back on, if you did,
It
you'd
was
lost
like
about
10
10
seconds gone.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but absolutely fantastic drive from you. You do get my driver of the day because that was just brilliant driving and really, really pot luck from you. But congratulations on second place anyway, and it was great to see the fighting between you and Jugster, and again, I think you had a bit of a fight with Cardinal maybe at the beginning. I can't quite remember. But yeah, some brilliant driving from you. So well done, mate, on the second place.
Cheers.
Jugster extending your
Yep.
lead once again. Not quite as dominant as you've been before. You actually had to fight for this one, but you showed us that even if you do have to fight, you can do that as well. So maybe a little bit of luck from Druid disconnecting, but a win's a win. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised because I think he was like 6 seconds in front of me at one point. I started really struggling. My intermediate, where my rear tires were like totally gone, but they wanted me to pit, but I saw it was drying up, and I'm like, I'm not pitting for another set of wets, and I have to pit again for dry. So I tried pushing as hard as I could. But yeah, he was a bit quicker than me in the rain for sure. Um, I don't know what happened. Yeah, it did look like he disconnected, and then right before that, I got hit by, I don't know, what was his name, Classic Mashman. Like, he like rammed me right in the wall on the back straight
Yeah, I
there,
saw
and
that. Yeah,
I
I
had to
just caught. I
totally
just
rip my
caught
wing
that.
off. So I had to pit.
Yeah.
Luckily that lap I was gonna pit anyways to get dries on, but it took me a little bit longer in the pits obviously because I had to get a new wing put on too. But yeah, I came out and I mean on the dry I was pretty quick though. I had the fastest lap there at the end, so I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, it was brilliant stuff. I'm assuming you got a little bit sweaty halfway through the race when you were possibly getting challenged by Druid, but again, from all of you, some brilliant racing between the two of you. I think some of the cleanest racing I've seen, even through GP2 and GP1. And you all know that I'm obviously the cleanest driver in the world, so that's a big thing for me. But congratulations to all three of you. Gumba, great drive getting that third, and Druid, potluck. But congratulations, Jugster, and well done for extending the lead once again. I think you're over 40 points ahead now, so
Yeah.
getting closer and closer to bagging the championship for GP3. So congratulations to all three of you. Is there anything else that any of you want to add at all before we log off?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Awesome stuff, guys. Thank you very much again. Congratulations to all three of you. That's been your GP